Rishus, Rosh Yeshiva, Rabbanim, Magidei Shiurim, Moirai v'Rabbaisai. It's a kavod gadol for me to welcome you to the 20th annual dinner on behalf of the Choshev HaMossad Irgun Shirei Torah. It's hard to believe that 20 years has gone by. I was just sitting in front and someone mentioned to me, reminded of where this started. Shmuel Birnbaum, who was the Nasi, founding Nasi of this organization, on East 23rd Street in the Dead End. And from here, it blossomed to this room for the last 18 years. And I want to be Pesach B'chved Achsanya, Rav Yanki Fureisen and his Eishes Chayil Chayefegi and Yossi Eidler have graciously and warmly opened up their hearts and their wallets and all of their facilities to support the holy work of Irgun Shirei Torah. And for this, we give them a great Eshekayach, and may Hashem bench them with all the brachas amuras b'Torah for Machzikei Torah and befrat for those of Machzik Torah, of Habatzas HaTorah v'Rabim. We learned the parasha a few weeks ago, Parasha Zeikev of Avrohom Shamoya. The Gemara in Bracha says, Tana Rabbanon, v'yasafta deganecha ma talmud loymar. So, if you should nemar lo yomosh sefer Torah mipicha, on one hand it says v'yasafta deganecha, you should go out and work. On the other hand, we have a pasuk lo yomosh sefer Torah mipicha, you should do nothing but learn. So, the Gemara yochel dvorim keksavam. You may think that taka lo yomosh sefer Torah mipicha, talmud loyma v'yasafta deganecha. You may go out and spend some time working. Hanig ben minig derech eretz. Zed devar Rav Shmuel. Shim be'yochai omer, ev she'adam chayresh b'shas charisha, v'zayreya b'shas zriya, v'kaitza b'shas ktsira, v'torah matahei aleh. Ela b'zman she'Yisrael oisim ritzonel shel mokoi melachtem nasa aydei acherim. Shenemar, yamdu zorim v'rod soinchem. B'zman she'en Yisrael oisim ritzonel shel mokoi melachtem ein melachtem nasis al yidei atzmon. Shenemar v'yasafta deganecha. Comes to Marsha here and asks Rabbi Kasha. It comes out like Rav Shimon Bar Yochai that the pasuk of v'yasafta deganecha is going on einam oisim ritzonel shel mokoi. How could that be? In fact, these words, v'yasafta deganecha, are in the parasha V'hoya im Shemaya Tishmu. So how could you name this on to mean Eina Oisim Ritzonel Shel Mokom? So Marsha gives an explanation that Avada, Rav Shimon Bar Yochai is talking, the pasuk of the V'yasafta deganecha is talking about Oisim Ritzonel Shel Mokom. But there are two types of Oisim Ritzonel Shel Mokom. There's a complete Oisim Ritzonel Shel Mokom and a non-complete Ritzonel Shel Mokom. L'mashal, he says in the Parsha B'Hayim Shemaya, it says, it says b'chol vavchem v'chol nafshechem. It doesn't say b'chol ma'otchem as it says in the parasha Bishona. And he explains that because you can find sometimes there's a person that chavav alav mamayna yosem megufay, and such a person. So for that kind of person, he is not zoicha to the bracha of Melachta Nasis al Echem, and therefore he has to do Melachta Nasis al Atzmai. But there's a sefer, Kilas Yitzchak, the Talmud of the Beis HaLevi, and he quotes this in the name of the Beis HaLevi. Even though we don't find it in the sefer, he says, V'shem Rebbe Moiri, a Beis of Dov, he says, Marshall, there was a father whose son went off to Merchokim, and he became a big veer over there, and he hadn't seen his father for many years. And then he was notified that his father was coming to visit, and then he called a Suda for the entire town. Everybody came, and his father came and sat by the Suda, and the Mesharsim gave them all kinds of nice foods. And at one point, the father says to his son, maybe you could ask a Mesharis to bring me some beer, I'm very thirsty. So the Gvir, the son, turns to his Mesharis and he says, go and fetch a bottle of Yayin Yoshem. So everybody that was there said, we all heard your father requested beer. Why are you sending for Yayin Yoshem? And he says, yes, true. You all heard what my father said. He says, but I know my father, and I know, I looked in his eyes, and I know that he really wanted Yain Yoshan. He was concerned to ask for it because he thought I might not have it, I might not be able to produce it. So he asked for something less than what he wanted. But the truth of the matter is, I know his true Ratzon, his Ratzon Amiti. So on this we could say, Pshat Rav Shimon Bar Yochai, that Avada his moida, that Rabbanu Shalom is in above a trinyan im habriyos, and but for most people it's a din of Vesafta Ganecha, Avada together with Torah and mitzvahs, and that's Hatzivui, that's what Hashem commands us. There are Yechidei Skula that are roy to be on the Madrega of Rav Shimon Bar Yochai, that so that's someone who's doing the emissary Ritzon Shamakan. So therefore, that's why we can know on the parsha of V'hayim Shemaya. And the Safta de Ganecha is talking about somebody who is, what does it say over there? It says, so that's why that could be somebody that has to do Malachtim Nasa Al-Yidei Atzmai. So I just want to be Messiah and talk a little bit about Irgun Shir Torah, who is actually doing the Ritzon Shel Makom under the great leadership of Rav Elozer Bald, who I know for many years. Rabbi Bald has demonstrated a tremendous energy, a non-stop energy from the moment I have met him in constantly looking to increase both the Eichas and Bakamas, Harbatzas HaTorah, B'chol Olam Kulei. You know, tonight is the Yurtzeit of Rav Pam, Zichron Tzadik Levracha. I once heard of Pam by a dinner talk about by Melchemes Amalek. It says, "V'hoya kasher yoreh Moshe es yodo v'gavar Yisrael, v'asher kasher yoniach es yodo v'gavar Amalek." So, Frekver Pam, he says the truth is that when Moshe picked up his hands, so it's Gavar Yisrael, so she said when Moshe put down his hands, Kasha Yashpil Moshe es Yadav. Why does it say Yoniach es Yadav? That he just rested his hands? He says from here you see that in the leadership of an organization, sometimes you have an organization that's very successful, and they get to a point that they go a bit on cruise control, and that's a din of Yoniach es Yadam, and that's for Gavar Amalek, Chas v'Shalom. But Rav Elozer Bald is a Chashay Yoram Es Yodav, constantly reaching higher and higher, and together with his helpers, Rav Dayish in particular, whose Ramish works Yad B'Yad Itay, he's Moisa Nefesh. If we could say someone who's Isa Ritzon Shel Makom, who gives himself 24 hours a day for Torah, Avada Irgun Shir Torah is filling in blanks in everybody's lives when they may not be able to dedicate themselves to sit down with a sefer, but they could come and either listen to a shir or attend a shir. But in terms of Irgun Shir Torah, they're busy with Torah 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and they are truly doing the Ritzon Shel Makom. And please come and help us support them. At this point, I would like to, it's my great kavod to call upon one of our great gedolim, Rav Shlita, who came with great Mesiras Nefesh. He was literally in the hospital yesterday. He wasn't able to give his own shiur last night, and he came here because he feels so strongly about Irgun Shir Torah. And please, all of us, give kavod for Rav Schorr, who will address the Olam.
Shus Rav Shmuel Dishon Shlita, Shus Rabbonim, Ta'ir Oilam. We are standing before Chodesh Elul. Shabbos is a Chodesh. Yimei Elul are called Yimei Milchama. So Sama says that the reason why we blow shofar in Chodesh Elul, because the Torah Akdash says, Ki sevayu Milchama ba'artzachem. The oifen that you hold Milchama is uskatem. Yimei Elul are days when we go out from Milchama. Before we go out from Milchama, it says in next week's parasha, Parashat Shoftim, we ask every soldier who goes out from Milchama, Mi isha yareh v'rach alevav, yelech v'yoshev lebeisei. It says in the Gemara, Rabbi Yossi Aglili says, Mi isha yareh v'rach alevav, Mi isha yareh me'averes shebiyodei. In our eyes, who is more roi, who is more fit to be a loichem and melchemes Hashem than a person that is fearful that he has averes, is not sure about himself. Hayore me'averes shebiyodei in our eyes is a balmadrega. Halavayif mi gesagt. Why is he the person that we don't let go out to Milchama? There's a sefer called Divrei Melech from Einekol of the Koznitzer Magid, Rav Melech Grodzitzke. He said that over Niflad Miyoid in the name of his father. A person is Achrei on Klal Yisrael. A person is Arvis on Klal Yisrael. A true person who lives the way a Yid is supposed to live. There's no difference between me and somebody else. Let me say over a personal story from the Bali Lula of today, the Tosher Rebbe Zeichet Tzadik V'Kodesh Leverocha. I was Zeichet to be a menal by him in yeshiva a year and a half. And there was a diyun on a bocha whether to throw him out of yeshiva or not. And he told me the following: Halavai, halavai, only these words alone should be enough to change a person's life. A person owns a house, he has garbage, what does he do with the garbage? He puts it out on the street. What is if the street is his? He puts it out on the next street. If the town is his, he puts it out on the next, out of the town. But what happens if the whole world is his? Then there's no reason to put the garbage anywhere. He can leave the garbage by himself, by his own backyard. If a person has a yeshiva because I have to have a yeshiva, if the I is what plays a role, then you throw out a bacha because he doesn't belong here, so you throw him out, so you got rid of him, it's not your problem. But if you work for the Eibishter, for the Heilige Baal Shefer, the house is not yours, the yeshiva is not yours, it's the Rebbeinu Shleilams. L'Hashem ha'aretz u'melaya, tevel v'yeshveva. Where are you going to send them? God says, Tachrayis. God says, Melebt v'klal Yisrael. Like Rav Melech Grodzitzke, in the name of its father. You know why this person can't go out to Milchama? In Tzva Hashem, you have to be a loichem for the Eibishter. You have to be a loichem without negiyas atzmias. It has to worry you Yenim's averis as much as your own averis. If you're going out to Milchama and the soldier next to you is a Balavera, you also have to be afraid. If he's only a Yorei Me'averes Shebiyodei, He's chayze me'archem melchama. In Asay Tov, as we said before, there's the same nekuda. There's those who do good for me, for my party, for my name, for my whatever it is. There are those who work for the Rebbeinu Shalom, who work at the Eibishter's Volk soll sein gut. At the Eibishter's Volk soll wissen, dass der Eibishter auf der Welt. At the Eibishter's Volk should know halacha. When it comes to days when you teach halacha, at the Eibishter's Welt soll lernen Teira, weil jeder haben wie zu gehen und hören at Dvar Hashem, whether it's Dvar halacha, whether it's Dvar hashkafa. That's a different category completely. That's working for HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's working for the Eibishter. That's working because you're not Yoreh Me'avere Shebi Yodoi. No, Sa'ardi, Asedo Ayid of the andere Welt was a Tefshe Nichshel and an Avera, and you have to teach him the halachas. Hast Meira, der Ayid in der andere Welt hat nicht oben Kaschir, darfst du ihm besorgen Kaschir. Hast Meira, der Ayid hat nicht wissen die richtige Ashkafa when it comes a problem in Klal Yisrael. That's the uptouch of Yegun Shurei Torah, and those are the shaykhs to have it every Shchedesh Elul. Elul the Kiyid doesn't worry about himself. The Elul the Kiyid is not there for himself, he's there for Klal Yisrael. He's loichem Melchemes Hashem, but he's loichem keneged the Ra in the Welt, because it's part of the world, the Mayra and Yenemzra. It's all one big avoid of getting rid of the Ra in the world and preparing ourselves for Rosh Hashanah, for Yom Adin, that the whole world should be over him lefan of Kibbenei Marain, and everybody should be Zoiche Bedin. Not I should be Zoiche Bedin. Klal Yisrael should be Zoiche Bedin. Und das ist der Aveide von Egen Shurei Torah, to be Mezake Klal Yisrael, to pick up Klal Yisrael, to pick up the Ramah of Klal Yisrael. And that's our chiyuv, to be Toimech and Azar Egun. And that's our Aveide, when it comes to Erev Shchedesh Elul, to see to it, that Egen Shurei Torah should be able to go on with their Aveide, of working for Klal Yisrael, and working for the Eibishter, and being marbek v'et shemayim, and preparing Klal Yisrael for the Geula Shleima b'meira.
B'Shem Egen Shurei, I'd like to thank Rav Avrohom Shlita for the flamfai, the geverte that he puts into every Yid, b'chol alev. Always, he comes to Egen Shurei in the summer and the winter, ben azmanim, chalamoid, packed crowds come, and they want to hear the Dvar Hashem. They should give him koiches, mit lange, gesunde Jahr, mit der Rebbe zu geben, chazik sein, am Hashem, loichem Hashem Toivis. B'shus Rabbanim now with the covered and Schita call upon Harav Hagoin, my Rabbi Shmuel Dishon, who is mechazik ganz Kleisel bei Egen Shurei and all over the world, and sucht to help von a Yid, Harav Hagoin Shmuel Dishon Shlita.
B'shus Harav Avrohom ben Schiffer, der Rebbe soll ihm helfen, eine ganze Refuah, eine ganze Yeshua. B'shus mein Rav, von unserer Schule, von der Stolner Schule, b'shus kol HaRabbonim HaChashuvim, Stver Adain, Tolechot Lefich, Voidoi, Lefich Etzoinoi, ובשותף לכל הקודש הזה. Moya Rabbi say, B'shus Kol HaKodesh Hazeh is not a slogan. It's not a slogan. B'shus Kol HaKodesh Hazeh. Rav Schorr Zichron Levrach hat einmal gesagt, dass der Wort Kedoshim Tiyu, sie ist ein Zivui und sie ist eine Haftoche. Es wird sein also. Klal Yisrael wird sein Kol HaKodesh Hazeh. Wir haben gelernt, Shabbos, Parshas Eikev. Der Zohar hat gesagt, Kol Shisho Yomim Meneim Izborcha. Samoyedig gesagt steht, Vehoyo Eikev Tishmeun. Sagt Rashi, Mitzvah She'odom Dash Ba'akeva. Okay, not such in the mail, but the promise, ושומר השם אלוקיך לכל, זה הברית וזה החסד וזה השבוע, אז זו יפיל שכר פבוס, ועל מצווה שאודם דש בעקבוי. חמור gehört a Wort, I once heard a Pshat, eine von den Rabbeinen von Klal Yisrael. Yarich Hashem Yomov betoivu v'nimov, der Mashgiach von Teuer Bedas. Gesagt also, where do we find the word Eikev? Avrohom Avinu. Eikev asher shoma Avrohom bekoili. What does it mean, Eikev? Because of. So why does the Torah use the word Eikev? So he explained, sometimes in order to increase the nisoyan, HaKadosh Baruch Hu takes a person and knocks him down all the way down. Sometimes if someone is in a good mood, it's not so hard to pass a nisoyan. But if someone is down and out and down past the nisoyan, in order to increase the nisoyan, HaKadosh Baruch Hu took Avrohom Avinu Eikev. Suddenly Avrohom Avinu found himself, Ribbonu Shalom, where are you? I lost my closeness to you. And still in all he rose to the Akedah. Maybe Eikev means we are all now in the matzav in Eikev. All of us. We live, I don't know if you can call it the way you describe our door, whatever. At best, a very confusing and challenging door. From one side you see B'li'ayin Hore, B'li'ayin Hore, B'li'ayin Hore. Torah grows. I know a Yid, never he lost his whole mishpacha, and he stands every morning at the corner of 14th Avenue and 15th Avenue and 45th Street by Beis Yaakov, and he looks at the buses. Sagt er, alle kommen in Hitler. Die told me, as ich schon gar nicht da. It's all over. And Baruch Hashem, yeshivas grow, kolelim grow. Someone asked me, Tasha, on Tisha B'Av, how can we say, O Yira Charevo, mit Rebelio Schwer? But because we have 50,000 people. What do you mean, Charevo? That's one side of the story. And then we have a phenomena that nobody ever believed it'll come. This new phenomena that we have, we are losing children. Not stam. In the best of mishpachas. Children are being lost, parents are being lost, families are being destroyed. That's the other side of the story. Very confused though. Very confused. It's definitely Eikev. Eikev. Confusing. Der Chizkuni on Sefer Vayikra, bei der Teucheche, steht dort nazoi. ואף גזויס מיועסום בארץ אויביהם, לא ימאסתם ולא גאלתם לחלויסום. Fragt the Chizkuni, what do you mean לא ימאסתם ולא גאלתם? You took everything away from us. Beis HaMikdash. How can you, Ribbonu Shalom, tell us, ואף גזויס מיועסום בארץ אויביהם, לא ימאסתם ולא גאלתם? What's left? And for the Chizkuni heilig teretz. As long as we have the Torah, we have everything. V'zeh dosit v'shat was mizogt by Neilo Rabbi Isai. You know who was mechaber that capital that we say by Neilim? Rabbeinu Gershomai Hagoylo. Ein Lonu Shiu Rak HaTorah Azois. On them is garnished. And with that is everything. Aboy say, yo. The only answer we have today is first of all, Torah. Torah and Torah and Torah. Torah versteht sich, wie jeder lernen Torah. Der Ramchal, Pille Ploim, you see, 3 forums you must say the same thing. The Ramchal is one of them, and steht dorten euchet as Torah without Yire, it's like you read a letter. Kekoire beidyeres. You read a letter. When we say Torah, we mean we are ehrlich Yid learn Torah, but Kedusha. So even if you learn without Kedusha, but you have an ill work, sagt der Ramchal. Aber ein lonu shiur rak HaTorah azois. There are a lot of other things, beautiful things. You can make parties and you can sing and you can make concerts. Gewaltig. Aber Achiza is Torah. I dare to say Birshus Arabonim Birshus Kol HaKol HaKodesh Hazeh. First of all, I don't want to call it an organization. Yiddish Shor Torah is an organization. What do you mean an organization? When you have a mishpacha, you say, I have an organization. When you have a child, it's an organization. I don't know the name to call Yiddish Shor Torah. An organization, it's not. Horaya, number one, it's a touch as a hotel Geld. Ich schaue in der Reihe, sind nicht schon Organisation. One of the nisim of our generation is Irgun Shiruvei Torah. HaKadosh Baruch Hu sent to this world in order to Lachachios es Oilamoy, steht in Heiliges Forum, She'olah b'yirtzoina ha'poshut livrus es ha'olam. There is expressions. I'm not such an American man, whatever. There's a new expression. He, 24/7. Abai say, Yidun She'uga Torah is not 24/7. It's wild. This is Mervidos. Because since one reason that this foreign by Doshim tell us why did Abishta made that the whole world should not be there at the same time. Because if it would be so, there'll be a part of the world, there'll be a time in the 24 hours that the world is all going to sleep and there is no Torah. So the Abishta made it, there always at a certain given time, there's light someplace that people learn Torah. Australia, I once had a child. I was invited to Australia, and when I flew back, I flew the whole night, and I come in LA in the morning. I had the whole shaila. Do Adam Shachis there or not? But when I was in Australia, I saw Yeshua Torah. And when I came to Los Angeles, I saw there was not one place in Kadar Oretz, in the planet. There's no Yeshua Torah. Nicht da. In the Amazons dort, nebscher in die Wälder, weiß ich nicht, nebscher die Asera Schmotim sagen, weiß ich nicht. If someone wants to maintain the Eibishter, we are not even allowed to sell it. But the reason why I allow myself to say it is because of a Ramchal. There is an unbelievable Morgen Avrohom. The Morgen Avrohom said that Yesh Noi Hagim Leisanus. There's a minute to fast. Vov Chukas. It's a paradox exact. You fast by the day of the week, not by the day of the month. Why? Because on that day they burned 42 wagons of Schorr. So, fragt der Morgen Avrohom, why do they decide to fast by a day of the week? Because the Targum teaches, so is Chukas HaTorah, do Gezeire Doraise. Zog der Heilige Ramchal, the Heilige Tolotzato. He says like this, I'm going to say something now, which is hard for me to say, but I get strength to say it. You know why? What am I saying? The burns for him. What kind of desire is it? What do you mean you burns for him? Sie doch nicht, kann sitzen da. Ich kann sitzen da. Das ist Chassidische. So, what happened? Fragt also, what do you gain by gaining for him? You burns for him? I'm so afraid to say it. But Ramchal says it. And it's a good Ashmachte. There was a Gzeire. When you burn Por Aduma, you burn Por Aduma. But when there's no Por Aduma, I quote the words, She'ashchina hagdoisho, Moiseres atzmo lisreifo, Bavut hashchina hagdoisho, the Eibishter. He lets himself be burned. Mishum ta'arosim shel Yisrael. Azay zog der Ramchal. Rabbi Yisrael. Now, this is an appeal for the Eibishter. Who is Yirgushur Teure? The Shechina Agdoisha. Lehakim Shechina Me'afro. Das ist Yirgushur Teure. And I would say one thought, which we heard once in a dinner of Yirgushur Teure, and with them on Messiah Zayin. Steht, if HaKadosh Baruch Hu comes to shul and he doesn't find a minion, miyad ukoyes. Eibishter gets in touch so fast. And what's the pasuk? Madu abosi ve'ein ish. What do you mean ve'ein ish? So do 8 Menschen. It's not a minion. But why bosi ve'ein ish? Or Timetzer Amol gesagt, why isn't there an ish to see that they should be a minion? That's the kasha. Madu abosi ve'ein ish. Where's the astronomy? We cannot say it here about Yirgushur Teure. Baruch Hashem, there's an ish. Avade. So, wir stehen jetzt, Rabbi Yisai, we can do ourselves such a toiva. Who doesn't need a Yeshua? Who doesn't need a Yeshua, Rabbi Yisai? Who doesn't want Eksiva v'chasim toiva? Who doesn't want Eksiva v'chasim toiva? Rabbi Tedalia Schorr, Zichrono Livrocha, I remember when he said it in Torah Vadas, he says, it's an interesting thing. There's a contradiction. It says, V'kulam oivrim lefonov tivnei morim. When HaKadosh Baruch Hu judges individual, everyone, like sheep, one by one. And one place it says, V'kulam nistorah b'skira achas. Everybody together. There he says, Rabbi Yisai, there's someone, Nebuch, on his own rights, he might lose the mishpat. Chas v'sholom. But then he has a second chance. If he becomes a part of the tzibur, and the tzibur needs him, so he'll pass al betulam nisdorim b'siga achas. Rabbi Yisai, who doesn't want to pass? Let's leave alone the Averes of Schorr and Yezod. Averes. Baruch Hashem, we got over Heilige Eide, Vos Averes. Der Chidush Harim schreit, los ob dem Ovar. Lieg nicht in die Blottes. Geh weiter. Weiter. Das ist on, das ist on. Aber da gehen weiter. Rabbi say, we have an opportunity now. Kulam the story with Achas with the entire world. Because there's not one place in Kado Ha'aretz that the influence of Edio Shoire Teure doesn't yet. Nicht da. Nicht da. Wie sagt, als der Panovich Jerova, wie sagt, Eber sind da Akihile, und der Panovich Jerova ist nicht gewähnt da, und jene Jungen, als sie das in Stock in Iden dort, was sie, wo die gewähnt Iden, wo sie schon gewähnt dort und schaffen Geld. Today, Rabbi say, als sie, wo die gewähnt eine jüdische Kihile, wo sie die Rabbol gewähnt dort, aufstellen, Teube, feiern, Schure, Teure. So Leibische Helf von Rabbi say, I'm talking from personal pain. Ich talking Koyach, Herr, die Zoras von Kindern, was fallen haben. Rabbi say, sie schon nicht talking Koyach. You talk to the parents by day, by night. What did I do wrong? What did I do wrong? Me red ben tzadikim, ben erlechiyin, Rebes. Now we have a chance. Kulam ke'echod. Amen alle sach stellen boyen irdun shura teure. Doch sein teure, will be teure in the ganze Brie. The Eibishter will not be able to refuse people who are involved in Abotzes teure in the entire Brie. Weil alle solche seine Mitzvah Hashem. Kol echod, 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 echod. Die Mischproches, mit den Kindern, alle sollen Refuges von Yeshuas, alle sollen ehrlich Yiddish Nachher von den Kindern, sollen Agutio, Azisio, Agibenstio, sollen solche sein, zusammen haben Agutio, Aktivewach, Simme Teure, und der Jeker, Ovinu Makeinu, Ein Lonu Melech Eloto. Das ist das. Und an der Eberster ist unser Melech und ist unsere Tate, und wir alle haben mit sich immer gut gewünscht.
Shem English Torah would like to thank Rav Elozer of Shmuel Dishon Shlita for the Moradike Divichizik V'Soyers in Mechazik English Torah all the years. Hoischem Bechvoy Dafsanya would like to thank, like always, first of all, B'Shus all the Rabbanim G'dolim Rosh Yeshivas Shlita. I would like to thank, everybody should thank Mr. and Mrs. Yankev Uraisen for the great Kiddush Hashem he made it tonight, which is being Mechazik English Torah all over the world, Miyat Hashem, for the upcoming year, B'siyat D'Shmaya. I would like to thank also the dinner host, Rav Ari Panis, who 20 years ago, as a Melis B'Torah for Hatzlachas HaTorah, the Eibisham Bench and Nachas when the Kinder lange gut gesunte Jahren. I would like to thank Reuven Wolf, also a dinner host, and all the Yedidim, Rabbi Leibish Berkowitz, Rabbi Brod, Moshe Klein, Avi Steinman, Rav Shlomo Michel Eli Goldbaum, Lazy Steinmetz, Naftali Einon, Chaim Kaufman, and many more, all who stretched hand to help English Torah worldwide. Rabbi say we came here tonight not just to celebrate Simchas Torah. We came here to thank Hashem, Hodel Hashem ki toiv, ki la'olam chazed, that we're here alive. That Baruch Hashem, we lived the year with thousands of shiurim worldwide, hundreds of thousands of Yidden coming to different shiur Torah. No matter is it Ben Azmanim, 10 Ben Azmanim in Israel, 10 yeshivas chalamoyeds in Israel, thousands of kids, thousands of bachim, hundreds of thousands of Yidden joined the shiurim. Is it Shovim Taras Mishpacha, daily shiurim, major asifas and shalom bayis, shidduchim projects, chinuch projects. Rabbi said to understand what Ignition Torah is, I will say one solid word on this week's parasha. Rabbi said this word from the Heilige Chassam Sofer explains today's generation. What's going on today, and you could take it home and you should take it for a lesson for life. The parasha starts, I'm giving you today, bracha, and verkehrt Chas Hashem Krola. Es a bracha shetishmu el mitzvahs Hashem asher roichem mitzvah eschem hayoim. Whatever you do today, what's hayoim? Says Chazal, kolim yibenechek chadoshim. Every day you have to come and start from new. Today I'm starting like the Eibush told me today to do the mitzvahs in Torah. What does it say weiter? Va'klole im lo yisishvu mitzvahs Hashem alekechem asher roichem mitzvah eschem hayoim. If you're not going to listen with that excitement that it's today, it's all the klala. In fact, some say, I don't understand. Bishlam at the part that you get all the bracha. So if you add excitement to the mitzvahs, as if you got it today with excitement, then you get chadoshim. The Eibush will give you all the bracha. But if chas v'shalom, someone does all the Torah mitzvahs, he's a tzaddik, but he doesn't do it with excitement, like it's today, you'll get Chasham Kol. It's not true. A person is gonna tzaddik, get all the schar. Why does it say hayoim over there? And the pasuk right away says v'sartam al derech. So you see, a person has to do avodah zarah to get all the inchim. It's a steer in the same pasuk. Zok the Heilige Chassam Sofer. I'll read you a few words because this is the yisoid. The Eibishtim created in this world, just like you have to eat, just like you have to sleep, just like you have to drink. And a person can say, I am not eating, I'm not sleeping. You can't say that. The same thing is Mechadish Chasam Sofer, the Eibishtim created in this world. A person that feels, I need to know the news, I need to know what's new, this is Hashem created in the nature of the world that you have built in you. You have to find something new every day, every hour, every minute in Chadashes. This is a part of a teva of a person. If you're not excited every day as if you got it today, the Torah, to be misimcha with the Torah as if it's yichud with the Eibishter, automatically you have to fill up that gap of that nature. You're going to find new things in Olam Hazeh. Automatically it becomes the old Yitma. The Heilige Chassam Sofer came here with such powerful chiddush, Rabbi Say. If a person, the Eibishter made in the nature of the person, you have to fill himself up with excitement daily. If you don't find something new in the learning, something excited and daily, then automatically you have a gap. You have to fill up with different excitement. I need a new gadget, need a new excitement, a new trip, a new smartphone, everything new you need. Why do you need it for? Because I need it. Because you're not filling up the schachas and Torah and mitzvahs. Those like the Heilige Chassam Sofer in his time, Rabbi say. What should we say today? When the whole world is burning with the Eitzah all over the world. Is it Bachim? Bachim, thousands of Bachim. We heard from the G'dayim, with the Rachman and what's going on off the derech. And Ignition Torah is providing 10 yeshivas ben azmanah in Israel. In America, many communities. And that's when the Ikka time when they fall, B'shaz ben azmanim. Thousands of Bachim come with a program they learn. What big excitement. And what about all the other programs? Kids, Yeshivas Chalamoid. Thousands of kids come to Yeshivas Chalamoid. And they get out a prize, and they enjoy the Yom Tov Chalamoid. They enjoy the learning, and they look forward to it. Last 2 weeks ago, a Bacher from Yisrael came to me. A Bacher, he says, ich wohne in Yisrael. I came here to America for a week for Simcha. I felt a choiv part of my schedule. I have to come to Stone Shul to thank Rabbi Bald for English Torah. I say, what's his? I saw his tears coming out of his eyes. He says, you don't know what kind of youngness I make through in Yisrael. What kind of hardship I have as a Bacher. And every night before I go to sleep, I call up English English Torah, the Shir installed in Bar Park. I want to hear it. And like, this is my chizik of my life. I felt when I come to America for a week, I want to pass by just to give a shkoyach, and I saw he's crying, tears in his eyes. This is what one bacher. What about hundreds of thousands of Yidden all over the world? They're going to different Shir Torah, or watching the Shurim, or listening to the Shurim. Is it Shoyavim? Shoyavim, you know what's doing Taras and Shpacha? Yiddishkeit is flying down with today's technology, with today's Yitzaharas. And English Torah, because the Heilige Rabbanim of 1,000 Rabbanim are fighting worldwide, fighting to put in a chayis in Torah. Yiddishkeit, Ehrenskeit, Libertykeit. This is a bracha shetish for Mitzvah Shem Lekechem. Last week, an Alta person sent in a letter about his father. He said his father lives in Manchester. Listen to Shurim over there. Whenever he came to Bar Park now in this summer, he wanted to be, so he came in for a simcha. He was staying here a whole week. His son wanted to take him out to Florida to give him a vacation for 2 days. He says, no, my vacation is, I want to be in Bar Park to be able to run to the Shir English Torah. This is the simcha. This is simcha Torah. Children, parents cry for the kids. What more could you do to bring kids to learn? Thousands of kids. Any children. You could sponsor Kibbutzim and Yisrael Taras Mishpacha. By giving, if you could sponsor a series of Taras Mishpacha of $1,000, you must sponsor dollars of Klal Yisrael. And Baruch Hashem, thousands of beginners started learning Taras Mishpacha through English Torah. Besides the hundreds of thousands, they get chizik in Shalom Bayis. We had asifas and shidduchim. Many shidduchim were made that way, just from the asifas, and many shadchanim were created. Every time is coming new projects to help Klal Yisrael, coming to bring the chadoshes, the excitement. Is it new topics? Is it ben azmanim? Is it daily shurim, Sunday shurim? What's bekena summer shurim? Rabbi said, what's going on in the summer in the world? And thousands of people. There was a young man last week. He came over to me, Rabbi Bald. He had a knee replacement. And he went to doctors in such pain he couldn't get out of the pain. So someone gave him eitzah to go to the Yam HaMelech. He did it in a week. He almost chalash. He almost had a heart attack. But he had to sit in Yam HaMelech to relieve some of the pain. He came back to America, still was full of pain, and still he needed rest. He was laying in bed, and he came to the stone and shul to the shir. And he's walking like this. I asked him what happened. He says, you are about moifis. How did you get me out of bed? You put such good speakers, I couldn't stay in bed. I had to come to the shir. Rabbi said, this is as Avrohom Tishvu, was the biggest oven around the world. This year we lost one of our tremendous leaders of Klal Yisrael, who had the schus to ask him for many years, hundreds of questions that Abba Goyen, Agodol, Rab Chaim Kanevsky, I made interviews about him, Shilas and Chuvas. Can make a whole sefer just in the Shilas that we showed in many years, and we hope to have some new ones soon that we never showed. I Baruch Hashem had the Schita Chaparayim right before he became sick. We asked a few very interesting Shilas, and we'll soon Mitzvah Hashem show it to Rab Chaim Kanevsky. I just want to mention, everybody knows Gadlus and Torah and his Gadlus of Midos. I saw not just his godless in his own Torah, he is godless about caring that everybody should learn Torah, and that's why he loved English Torah. He used to look at the regime of all the names of the speakers in Bnei Brak. We have in Bnei Brak in Yerushalayim. He used to look at it, and he felt mamish. We had the extra time people have their seconds. We sat 20 minutes by him because he was machshav with the Torah that's being done. And I asked him, I'll give you a few small shilas, 3 shilas that I asked him. That's Negei Torah. One shilah I asked him about a panasa. He has 2 choices of panasas. Either small panasas but not so high risk, or other high risk panasas that he can make a lot of money, but he can lose a lot of money. So Mechayvis is shtadlus, which is proper that Eibishter wants him to do. So he didn't answer not this and not this. Soll sein mehr Zeit zum Lernen. Whichever one gives him more time to learning, that's what he should do. Not the bigger money, not the big. I asked him what's kash, a shaila and shtadlus. I didn't ask him a shaila what's prapal's Torah. He brought in the Torah. Whoever had anything to do with Torah, he brought in. Wherever there's more time to learning, people have to chaparayim more learning. That was one. Another one that I had with him, that you're going to see tonight, Met Hashem. Once I went to Rab Chaim Kanevsky, my children wanted to be mechabed me. They brought my svarim, they showed to Rab Chaim Kanevsky and give it to him, she got a bracha. I was so embarrassed. Who am I? Svarim, he needs my svarim. I was embarrassed, Pasha, that they put it down for the table, they gave me to give it to him. They brought her along. But Reb Chaim always spoke with a low key, low tone, everything quiet. He didn't want to say bracha v'atzlacha, buha, because it's an extra word. You know, his Haskanim, he used to say bracha v'atzlacha, but Stamazo he didn't want to say, he didn't want extra words, every word. But you know what I saw? I was so embarrassed. But he looked at it and looked at it. You'll see soon in the video. And then afterwards he said, Yashikoyach! Loud, Yashikoyach! The whole room heard. I got more embarrassed. He's thanking me as if I gave millions of dollars by giving him my farm to Chaim Kanievsky. Because he's machshiv Torah. Any Torah. I gave him the biggest gift even though he needs it. Yashikoyach! I was so nisragish. It's such a loud Yashikoyach. I never heard him speak so loud. Simcha from Yenim's Torah. And the third, I once asked him that we forgot to announce a sponsor, the Nishmas by a shir. And I want to know if we have to give back the money because we forgot to announce it by a shir. So I never saw him laugh so much. And he starts laughing at the shaila, what kind of shaila is. And he goes like this, Dort vet men ish wissen? Over there in Shemayim, they're not going to know that he gave it for this neshama? Like, why do you have to even announce it? Like, dort wird man nicht wissen? Like, this is Torah, nicht nur Torah. The Heubene Torah. Real Torah. And we all miss him, Klal Yisrael misses, and it's chus him shine for the door. Tehene shmaz tzir b'shar chaim. It's chus yogel ein al kol Yisrael. I want to add that tonight, it was mentioned before.
What made thousands of families? What made thousands of?
To ask him many different questions about Ignish Torah. He signed many different amlotzes. And by particular, I remember I once took him to give a shir in Stalin, Besmedrish, and he gave a shir introduction Chalamoyed for Rabbi Goren Yaakov Zev Smith. Rav Pam came with me in the car, and I brought him, and he said, Gewaldige Shurim of Rav Zev Smith. He himself told me he listened to his tapes, and he, Gewaldig Zeh Klon. So I was sitting with him in the car. I happened to have near me a few flyers of Ignish Torah Ben Azmanim, which his name said on it. I didn't prepare it. They were just sitting, had a few pieces left, to take it to shul, whatever, a few copies, 20 copies. He sees it, I'm driving, and he says, do I have permission to take one? Yeah. What is it made for? It's made to take flyers. He's asking me if he could take one flyer. I said, it's a code, she would take a flyer. So he folds it up so nicely, like this, mamish exactly to the fold, and it has to be pinklich, beautiful, it should look beautiful. And then he tells me, I want to take it to the Rebbetzin, his wife will be happy to see it, to see the fly that he spoke, he wants to be Mahana. He is Midas. So on the way in the car, the way going to the shir, he asked me what's the exact pronouncement of my name? Is it Elozer Baruch, Eliezer Baruch? He wanted to know. He said, why does he need my name exactly to know if it's Eliezer or Elozer? So I said Elozer Baruch. So he chazed over Elozer Baruch. Elozer Baruch, like with the dogish, how to say it. And then later I hopped, and he came to the shir, he wanted to introduce the Ignish Torah, he spoke before Rabbi Smith, will bedanken Elozer Baruch, Bald, for the alles Arbeit, das legt rein, Ignish Torah. So you practice the name Chas v'Sholem, he shouldn't make a mistake, he covered. You know how many names I have? Every Rosh Hashiva calls me a different name. I got names of Avrohom Burech, Avrohom Dovid, Lezer Dovid, every name I got them. From Gedolim that are not here in this world already. He practiced the name before, Elozer Baruch, to make sure, listen up, Pam. So I want to mention one story that was in the Gate Ignish Torah Pam, and Emet Hashem will be able to close and get to the video. By the way, I have to say this. Shmuel Kamenetsky, I feel very, very bad, and he feels also very bad. I spoke to the Shiva of Shmuel Kamenetsky a few hours ago. The car was waiting for him. But the Yosi had a chastan and I have an enekel. Tell them it's impossible for me to come. He gives them the bracha to everybody. But he felt so bad that I spoke to him yesterday, he said he's coming. Today he said he's coming. Later, I told him 6:30 the car's waiting. We'll see how he feels. Still too schwach. Sein gesund, gesund in 20. It's Korov to May already almost. Sein gesund. But his brachas are here and he's here with us. So I want to say the story that happened with Rav Pam. Story goes like this. I was going to get hamlotza for one of the asifas ve'igin shir Torah, and I went out, I called the Rosh Hashivas or bottom to get hamlotza, called Kaira. It was one of the asifas, maybe Zahava Bronstein or one before that, the Noshim. And I called him up, Rosh Hashiva, can I come to your house? I'm making this asifa, this. He says, Rav Elozer, he says, nobody's coming to my house the next 2 weeks. I never heard such a thing. Nobody's coming to my house the next 2 weeks. But I know you, I explained to him what it is, I know what you're doing, I trust you, we had a certain relationship, you can put my name right out. He said, I told Rosh Hashiva, if that's a b'dieva to put your name, I want the chasim of the Rosh Hashiva. He says, what could I do? Nobody's coming to my house the next 2 weeks. So I said, the Rosh Hashiva is going to yeshiva. I go to yeshiva to the shir, and I come right back. I don't wait a minute before, a minute later, so it's almost impossible to get me. So I said, listen, if I get to Rosh Hashiva by the yeshiva, it's good. If I come tomorrow, after tomorrow, get to yeshiva, it's good. If not, I'll use the signature. Why didn't he stay in the yeshiva? He couldn't sit, Rav Pam. He was walking with, whoever remembers, he used to walk with a shopping cart. So he came to the shir, he was standing, his whole back, we had a lot of back pain, he was very old then already. So he used to stand, give the shir holding the stender, and he left, he walked right home with his shopping cart. So he couldn't sit, so he couldn't wait before or after. Because I came the next day to Tarvadas, I'm looking for a palm before the shir, he's not here. I wait 5 minutes, he's not here. What happened? It started snowing, and they called his house. He says he started going out with his shopping cart. He was afraid he'll slip, so he made a U-turn, went right back home, and he stayed home, and he's not coming to give it his shir. I go to Rabbi Williger. What do I do here? He told me he's not taking anybody home the next 2 weeks, and I told him I might come. I don't know if I didn't say exactly tomorrow or the next day. One of the days I'll come. He says, just go try. I went to his house. Sure enough, his wife was at Tzadikis, but she really took care of him very, very well. She came to the door. I'm sorry, Rav Pam is not seeing anybody now. Next 2 weeks, nobody's seeing. Okay, I left the door. I called up a Willie. What's going on? What's going on? 30 seconds later, she opened the door, and I was ready like 50 feet away. Are you Rav Bald? I said, yeah. So Rav Pam said, nobody can come, but only if Rav Bald is there, you can let him in. I didn't even tell him I'm coming. He warned me a few times not to come to his house. A few times. He's not telling anybody. And he should remember what went into Rav Pam's mind. He says, maybe Rabbi Bald will want to come to yeshiva. Maybe he's going to miss me. So as soon as the snow came and he came home, within 10 minutes he thought, wait, maybe he might come. So he told his wife that Rabbi Bald comes, him he should let in because he had Agnes Nefesh. Then I walked into the house. I knew why he didn't let anybody come in. You know why? Because they had breathing problems, so they took away all the carpet and they were doing the whole floor wood. There was a big couch standing right in front of the door. You walked in, Baruch HaMabon, a big couch standing sideways. So it was embarrassing, so he didn't let anybody in. He took me upstairs. He had a small room upstairs. Those that know, he had like a recliner. He couldn't sit, so he still lay. He brought his wife, and he felt so bad that I had to come to yeshiva and then have the chutzpah to come to his house. And not say it's a chutzpah, but rather take me in. He sat with me about 40 minutes. And I had my posters with me because but Shoy wanted to show him what I'm doing, what's going on. He sat down, went through the whole list of hundreds of different cities. Oh, this is my Talmud, and this is my Korev, and that was for like 50 minutes. And then he started going, give me a whole drasha, what Eigen Shir Torah is. You know what is Schorr, you have to ask a mishpacha, you makar thousands of Yidden, Kedushasam Tarasan Shal Yisrael, Azech Schorr im Deuris, you legte weg Deuris from Klal Yisrael, gewaltige Schorr im Teure, He was going on, I was so embarrassed, his wife was not aside, he's sitting there, he gave me a whole drasha, he wanted to make me feel good, chashiv. He didn't want you to feel bad. The chashivas of the Geshetayra of the Shoivim, he says, it's not for Klal Yisrael. He was going off a 15-minute drasha. This is Rav Pam. He thought about the enemy. He's machshiv Eigen Geshetayra. Nobody coming to him because of the Torah, not because of me, because of Eigen Geshetayra. And he was machshiv each place. And he said, what chusim it is. And even was laying with Yisurim Neiroim. This is what he put into us, Messias Nefesh for Toya for Yeshamayim, and that's why his Einikel, Harav going to Motcha Pam, his Einikel is one of head Manalim and Etz Yisrael, because he remembers how Zaydo was so machshiv Eigen Shir Torah then already, before it was all over the world so big, and maybe he became one of the head of Schorr, running Shovim and Etz Yisrael and many other projects. We're standing in Chodesh Elul. I want to conclude with a story, and then we'll go see in Metroshem the presentation. We heard already from Rabbi Dishon that, you know what, everybody needs big Yeshuas. So many tzaddikim need refuahs. We have the Rachmas Rivke Rebbe, Chai Yitzchak, Molester Rivke, laying away for 2 months sick. And many more tzaddikim and people that need Yeshuas and zivugim and panasim. And davzach ois bet na gut yah. What do we say after all 44 Avinu Malkeinu, the last one? And we say it in Tachnan, by the end of Tachnan also every day, by the end of Tachnan we say it. Avinu Malkeinu, ein bon ha-maisim, aseh mon ha-tzedakah v'chesed v'shi'enu. If we don't have anything to show, we don't have everything enough to give, do us a tzedakah v'chesed v'shi'enu and give us a Yeshua. We bet zechois a Yeshua, but how we're zoichet to Yeshua? Kol ha-meracham al-abriyas, we need rachmanas. This week's parasha, Asa b'shvultas Asher. Whatever you do for another Yid, you bring in Torah, you bring Chayes. This is the biggest of this week's parasha. It's Avrohom Asher Tishbu. The biggest atzlacha for the Yom Adin, for Doiris, is giving for Torah, giving for Tahara, giving for Klal Yisrael. I had once a story. Conclude this story. I was going out of Stone Shul, running across the street to Kaf Grocery to get a drink, the magazine to drink. We didn't have water then. I run through the road. A big van comes by. And he stops. Rabbi Bald, come right here. What's his? Come right here. He said, and takes a check, writes her a check, $720. He puts him in, zooms up further. I said, I ran out of the Shia exactly when the car passed by. That second, and you're like, I didn't know anything. This year, I spoke to him last week. He tells me a few years later after the story, he says, "Do you remember that story?" Oh yeah, I remember. Like what is it? Let me tell you the story. What happened? Or what made him to just stop me in the middle of the street, give a check? So he says he was driving by 43rd Street down 16th Avenue towards 47th Street. He gets a call from a manager of one of his buildings. He's a balabos. I can say his name. Leitner. He was one of his managers in a building. An inspector was in a building, and this inspector was the biggest Rosh Merusha from all the inspectors. When he came, he gave 10, 20 violations on the building, not one. And he tells me this cheapest violation was $4,800. Cheapest violation. And his manager called him up that this inspector, everybody knew about this Hagodl, this book. They threw him out already because they saw he making a lot of Torahs for everybody. He just gave tickets in the Delta line. This inspector was there, and he's saying, this is no good, and this is no good, and this is no good. And the manager's sitting. He calls up his boss. The boss is on 43rd Street, driving down 16th Avenue. And come here, help me. He says, give me 10, 20 tickets already. Help me. He took my $100,000 of violations. He's driving, and the minute he gets his phone call, he's still with him on the phone, between 46th and 47th Street, he's still with him, he's telling the story. Rabbi Bald, come! Atilu, Rativitz, Dorkitatzim above us. Please, Schos HaTorah, what else? Schos HaTorah, Bracha Shetishmu, and Mitzvah Lekegel, and he sees me in the Shemaim, I'm running out of the shoe, I went to get some more from the market share, and he's already standing there, and he's just heard the worst thing, the guy's ready to give a lot of violations. He sees, come right, he walks faster check, and he's driving with him. Within 15 seconds, he was standing by the light by 47th Street. He's telling me, 47th Street, he waited by the light. The manager calls him again. You don't believe what happened. What happened? He says, something happened. He got so angry. He says, just get out of here. Just get out of here. He tells the manager, just get out of here. And the guy inspector just runs out of the building. Something happened, What happened? His boss gave Hatzola for Torah, and when I was Schos HaTorah, Torah is Chaim, hat er sich geraten mit $100,000. This is whatever. Rabbi Isai, we in our Chodesh Elul. Chodesh Elul says, Svarim HaKadoshim, the Mekatrigim come, these are the inspectors. They had to give big tickets, the cheapest is $4,800. They had to give big tickets from the Mekatrig, we go Shoife, Tshuva, Tfila, Tzedakah, Malvina, we do Tshuva, we do Tfila, we do Tzedakah, whatever we can to be Mechazik, Klali, so Mechazik is out to bring Yeshuas, to bring Schosim, what we can. These are the inspectors that are running around. And when you give for Torah, you sponsor Taz for $1,000. Or 10 communities for $10,000. Or 50 communities for $50,000. Whatever you do around the world is chusim l'olam. If 720 saves them 100,000, what could $10,000 save? And any get l'shma, get for Torah, v'lo mechelik in Yenim Torah, in Klal Yisrael's Torah. This is then the Mekatim just go and say, just get out of here. Guy gets into it and have a good year. This is what happens. When we do tzedakah, when we help out Torah, which in English Torah, there's not only Torah, there's Solas Yisrael, like Rabbi Shmuel Brumman used to say right here on the podium. There's Tamicha for hundreds of Talmidei Chachamim at Yisrael. Halt Talmidei Chachamim, Stille Heid, Beseisen, real Talmidei Chachamim, Matam Beseisen, bigger money. And we need Yeshuas and Taz Hashpacha, thousands of shiurim, Rabbi say, in all communities in 10 languages. Kibbutzim Ulavet Yisrael. You have the schus of this. This is Atzalas Yisrael. This is no bigger bracha shetishma mitzvahs Hashem alekeichem asheroichim mitzvah eschem hayoim. Oh, the Bnei Shalom helfen. That everybody that came here with takati with Mechazik Torah. In this schus you should all have. We call it Nilva Maleichem. You should have a good gebench Shia, Ksiva, Vachasima, Toive, Zivuge, Magunim, Refuis, Yeshuas, and Panosse, zusammen mit Kal Yisrael, solche Zante, the Gula Shlema, beim Heila, B'Yemenum. Amen, Amen.